Hey, welcome in, folks. This is Babbaginator. We're in the Long Dark. We're currently hanging out in Mystery Lake. We've got a lot to do. We have a lot to figure out still, too. So far, we have not found any weapons. Hey, Callum. Yeah, welcome in. I don't think you stream, but we'll give you a shout out anyways. Thanks for being first. How's your day been? Mine was not as productive as it probably should have been. I budgeted more time to work, and in the end I just kind of ran out of steam, so I instead went to IKEA to pick up a few more things for the apartment because I figured staring at the computer doesn't really count as work if I don't actually create anything. First day from days off. Had to fix a lot of stuff. First day back, you mean? We should be at least somewhat cautious. There are wolves about. Ooh. Yeah, I took a few days off to spend time visiting family, friends, neighboring city, and I'll admit, it was nice to have a few days where I wasn't obligated to, I wasn't streaming, and I did work, but it was at the end of the work week. Well, actually, I guess Friday I didn't really have to work that much. I put in about half of my usual time for Friday. Monday, I worked close to my usual time. Tuesday, I put in some time as well. But yeah. Walk back into the things that got let go. Yeah. A friend of mine, older faculty person I know, told me he went on sabbatical one time, and when he left, the department that he was chair of was doing really well. And by the time he got back, they had completely ruined the department. They had failed to successfully hire people that they were supposed to hire. They had driven out some other people that were supposed to stay. They had changed the departmental culture such that a number of students no longer felt welcome in their program. It was a big disaster. Oh, we got the birds. Do we still have that bird on us? No, we don't. Okay. Yeah. So my friend was pretty ticked off about what they did to the department while he was gone. He had basically taken a mediocre department, turned it into,
Perfect.
you know, something that was reputable, and then came back to discover they had completely sabotaged the whole thing. Goodbye, Ptarmigan. Yeah, it always hurts when you come back to something and you realize people did not care about it the way you care about it, or didn't understand how fragile it is, not properly maintained. Let's see here. So, tomorrow afternoon, my roommate, my brand new roommate, who is flying in from Germany, arrives. So, my guess is I will not be on stream tomorrow night. I'll probably be busy helping him settle in. But we'll see. I'm certain we'll probably have to do an IKEA run. We'll have to, I don't know. I don't know if we'll do that all. They might just want to sleep. I think they'll probably sleep. 10-hour flight. I'm looking for a mag lens in the cave up here. CNC shop I worked for 2 years ago lost almost 1 million in jobs since they laid me off. Yep. People don't know what they got until it's gone. And then it costs them. Yeah. Do you prefer working in the restaurant industry then? Let's put some water on. Which one time we got left?
Feels like night is coming.
40 minutes. I like to figure things out and make all run effectively and profitably. Yeah. Okay. Let's try our luck at the cave, see if there's a bedroll in there. And survey says Maglins, yes. Archery book, yes. Book. Another archery book. Drink. Don't have the key for that. And there's no bed in here. Okay, we're creeping back down. Done construction, cooking, bartending, machining, customer service, maintenance, housekeeping. You just like working. That's admirable. I have done a wide variety of things over the years as well. Not quite as varied as you, but still pretty varied. Worked as a computer programmer in the auto insurance industry before I worked as a programmer in the games industry. I have worked as... I've taught classes at a university level, along graduate school. I have facilitated workshops for creative writing, mostly for writing. What else have I done? High school I did a bunch of different things. I worked as a... What's this over here? I spent summers working as a farm laborer, sometimes as a parking attendant in a parking tower. What else did I do? I did data entry for a photographer. Go too far, we went too far. We missed the downturn. Driving tractors. No, I pulled Russian thistle and weeds on a farm in miserably hot weather in Saskatchewan one summer. It's the value of hard work and remind you why you should respect the people that have to do that on a regular basis. For me, it was just a few weeks, but it was enough. It's like, I don't really want to do this. Triple Wood, welcome in. Welcome in. Potato farm in Alberta, crazy weather, good times. Yeah. Are you doing triple wood? We are pretty close to the start of this current challenge. What? You got a tractor hit by lightning? Wow. Hopefully you weren't in it, right? Yeah, I know. It was like that's too much excitement. Today's excitement was I went and did some grocery shopping, and while I was at the grocery store, oh, what am I worried about having a bedroll? I have a bedroll. This challenge, I already have one. I was panicking for no reason whatsoever, and there's an extra one here. But yeah, we already have one. What are we worried about? We got 100% bedroll already. Oh, okay. Okay. Let's grab a piece of meat from outside. Yeah, I mean, you know, those big tires. Big rubber tires, and you're on ground, right? And technically, I think in most cases for cars and for tractors, the cab is a Faraday cage. That is to say, you're protected inside of it. Oh, really? Well, I guess the electrical system's probably the vulnerability, right? So.
I'm gonna need to rest soon.
Okay. What else did I do today? I still haven't figured out what to do for wall art behind me, but I did put up... I have a... not really a poster. How would I describe it? Several years ago, I tracked down a place where you can get super high res images of 19th century maps. So I have this really high res, I just can't remember where it's located. But anyways, it's very detailed, and it's a reminder to myself of a couple different projects that involve writing about the 19th century, writing about London. I have both a paranormal mystery novel that I started, like really barely started. I sketched out the plot and wrote a few, sketched out some parts of the novel, but really need to go back and write the thing. But that's set in London in that time period, mid-19th century. No Samantha Fox poster from the 80s, no. So anyways, I mounted that on whatchamacallit, foam board, and then have fixed it to the wall, so it does double duty. It is both, like, you know, colorful thing on the wall, but it's also a sound insulator. It will dampen sound because of the foam board part of it. So that hopefully will help cut some of the echo in the room. And then I've been thinking about other stuff to put up and toying around. I had this conversation over the weekend with I was visiting family friends in Langley, BC, and they have a daughter about my age. So we were talking about art, which she recently has gotten back into, and I have not gotten back into painting. But I was thinking about it. It's like, you know what, I have the acrylic paints for doing terrain painting, terrain crafting for D&D. They're not super high quality paints, but they are paints. And it's funny, like you can automate a lot of stuff, and then at the end of the day, you still sometimes would be better off with a human operator. You'd watch that if I did a painting stream? I would have to figure out what I would paint on. What I used to paint on was like this press board, like the cabinet board stuff that's like really thin and super smooth on one side. And what you do is you take latex paint, like house paint, and you paint. You do an under painting of it in, put a primer level on in latex house paint, a white coat, and then you paint on top of that. And that's how I used to paint when I was in high school. Baba Ross, yeah, Baba Ross. That would be pretty funny. We could bill it as Baba Ross streams. Hey, good to see you, Aaron. But yeah, I think I've shown some of my work on this stream before, like images of what I did in high school, watercolor, pencil, and acrylics, and a little bit of crayon work as well. Yeah, so I used to be, I would say, quite good, and I'm now not very good at all. So I think it might be good to carve out some time to do some of that, just a little bit of variety. Also, I do want to I don't know, it's like I need to carve out more time for myself to do creative writing. I've been spending some time working on whatchamacallit, on interacts. Although I'm not kind of in a publisher Paris sort of situation, it's literary publishing, because my job these days and the path that I've chosen is, in libraries as opposed to being, teaching. I'm not really the same publisher parish situation that some people have. Ooh. You got kicked out of your D&D group? Was it something you did? Something they said? Something they kicked? I don't know. It's like, if you're in a small town, sometimes that gets really rough, because it's like, well, I don't get along with this group. Who am I going to play with? And so that's true unless you figure out. I feel like boards we should be able to break down, but we can't. Yeah, it feels like you should be able to. I don't know. Sometimes it feels like you get stuck because you don't have any locals to play with. But you don't have to play with locals. You can. These days, you can play online in a variety of ways. Too unlucky. Okay. Don't forget this. There's nothing here. The wolves are out. Oh, I was about to tell the story and I completely forgot about it. So yeah, I had a little bit more excitement than planned when I was out shopping. I went grocery shopping earlier, and when I was there, almost ready to get to the checkout line, the fire alarm starts going off in the store, and this guy rushes back into the back of the store and then pops out again, and he's one of the workers, and then everyone just starts getting escorted out of the grocery store. We're all like moving out to the street and like wondering what in the world's going on. And the guy I saw rush into the back comes out and he apologizes. He says like, I left something in the microwave too long. It started smoking. Now the fire alarm, the smoke detector went off, and the fire department's coming. So we had to sit there. We had to stand outside waiting for the fire department to come and give the all clear. Yeah, so like a short little shopping trip, yeah, it turned into like almost 40 minutes. It was like, this is not how I wanted to. I don't know if they had they were stopping to do a cleaning break or something, but yeah, all the lines were closed, and it was like, well, guess I'm not getting any food at IKEA. So yeah, so we waited about 30 minutes for the fire. Well, I guess it was about 15 minutes for the fire department to get there, and then another 10 minutes for them to do a walkthrough and confirm that there's no actual fire. Yeah. But as for like D&D groups in small places, I'd say like, yeah, on some level, if you can get used to playing online, it's a good solution because it makes you less dependent on, you're not reliant on having a local group. As much as I love like the in-person game, sometimes it's just not feasible. And ironically, like the way that I found that I enjoy the. So I run two games right now. I run an in-person game and an online game. Both for local people, mostly university students. And the thing that the online group does prefer to have the webcams on, but I have run in the past a number of games that were no webcams, voice only, and Discord chat. And so if you have to have a group of people that does really well with spoken, oral description, like verbal description, is their strong point. And in this case, it was a group of mostly writers and academics and artists and musicians, but a lot of people that really, like, they read a lot, and they're used to also spoken descriptions and depictions of things. So, yeah, fairly comfortable with that. And they were also burned out because they were, it was during the pandemic and they had to teach their classes online, and so they didn't really want to spend another moment having to be on camera. So they actually had, when I gave them the option, they said, we'd prefer to be off camera. And so, so we just like cameras off, and we did that way. This worked out great. There was one guy that was in one of the groups I ran during the pandemic. Really funny, interesting guy. He was a circus ringleader. It was totally well. He was a circus ringleader, strongman. So he did double duty. He was strongman and a ringleader. So it was often on the road. And so sometimes he would join us while driving, and he'd just have the phone on, on speaker mode, and he would just listen, and we might have to roll his dice for him, but but yeah, you just what's my difficulty? Or a long dork run, in which we get the code and we don't know what the settings are, and we immediately start, and then we try to figure out over the course of 50 days. Yeah. 2.0 is going well. I think what we discovered last time is that I have made the Interloper random challenge really, really hard. And I had to do some tweaks on it. We're doing a random. That is to say, you know what, I should bring this up just so people can, if you weren't here for last time, you can see it. So here's the generator. Let's see here. Pull up generator. Okay, so this is the random generator, and so this is the one that generates the settings, and then there's one that just pulls from a random set of pre-generated codes that use the other generator to kind of get the settings. So if we go back here, you'll see that. How can I do this so I can see you guys too? Yeah, the same code. I mean, same address as before. There's just a link now so that you can hop between the current version or the previous version. So when I say a level appropriate, that means that I've gone through and figured out. I've looked at all the settings that make up vanilla Pilgrim, vanilla Voyager, vanilla Stalker, vanilla Interloper, and then determined, weighted the different settings in terms of how important they are to the difficulty, and then calculated their value. And then once I know what the baseline minimum Pilgrim, the vanilla Pilgrim and the vanilla Voyager, for instance, I can then make a random generator that generates a budget to spend that is between vanilla Pilgrim, and vanilla Voyager. So it is more points than vanilla Pilgrim, but less than Voyager. And it will start with Pilgrim settings, for instance. But we could do this with Stalker as well. Start with Stalker settings. But then what it does with its budget is it iterates through. It goes through and then randomly selects a setting to bump up in difficulty. And it keeps doing this until it's spent its entire budget. And then because some settings are heavier weighted, that means that it costs up as quickly. So the problem then with Interloper is that these are all harder than vanilla Interloper. And so that is a real challenge, a real challenge. So for instance, we're clicking through here. Oh, and the other thing that you'll get here is it will tell you the difference between Stalker and Interloper, for example. That budget, that difference, in the second third, it's considered medium, and if it's in the top third, or it's almost into the next level, then it's a high. And then it'll give you the weighted total as well, so you can get a sense of like how much, like, so this standard's 281, right? Medium's 289, so just slightly into medium. This medium is 302, and let's see if we can get a high here. This high is 317, and at that point you're getting you know, so this is looking pretty normal, but like now you're getting all these things maxing out, like variability for weather and blizzard very high. Let's see, calorie burn very high, like all these things are very high. No birch bark tea, and wolf very high, like a lot of these very high. Wildlife disappears over time, you know, things like that. So I think like these are just punishing. The interloper ones ultimately are just really punishing challenges. So I honestly think the most interesting challenges are probably at the Voyager or Stalker level. Like for instance, this is a Stalker challenge, and look, this is an Endless Night Stalker. Endless Night Stalker. An Endless Night Stalker where there's a high frequency of blizzards. And what else do we learn here? There's no birch bark tea. And medium, there are no deer. There's no deer. That's going to be interesting. And what else is there? And even though it's Stalker, go back and retool like what the interloper difficulty is. But yeah, so like if you want to, you can just kind of get a completely unknown code, because I've run this generator multiple times and stored some of the codes that I've produced. And now there's like Pilgrim codes and Voyager codes. I actually need to change the size of this box because it's too small. Really, it should have a minimum width and just be happy that way. But anyways, you know, here are the codes that you would get, and you get a bunch of different ones when you click through. So what I did for this particular challenge is, after 2 fails at the hard end of Interloper and those random challenges, we decided to do a pure random where we don't even know what this code refers to. Is it Interloper? Is it Stalker? Is it Voyager? Is it Pilgrim? What is it? I have no idea. And so that's what we're going to find out. See. Anyways, so yeah, so let me know if you have any requests or suggestions for what to add to it once you play through it. But they're fun to make, you know. Oh no, a 329 Loper. Hey Rena, good to see you. Been a while. I'm coming to you live from my new apartment, which is still not very well decorated, I have to admit. I still have to do some more figuring out of stuff for the walls in the back. Reverb. Oh, empty room sort of way. Yeah, that's the problem of like, this room is still pretty empty. There's nothing. I need to do more to dampen sound in the room. Yeah, so it's something I'm working on. Maybe I have to fill a back wall with like plushies. I don't know, like stuffed animals anywhere. I don't know. What is it going to take, you know, to really deaden more sound? The I think part of the problem is that my bookcases are running horizontally on the ground. And so they're below my voice. And so they're dampening things, but they're not dampening them quite as much as they normally would. So, yeah, you don't get the code, you just get the settings. Then you have to punch in all the settings because there is no easy way to generate the code from the settings without knowing what Hinterland has done to create the hashes, because it's not a perfect one-to-one ratio or one-to-one relationship between like if I change this digit or this place in the code, it corresponds with this setting. Or if I use this letter or number, it corresponds with this setting. It doesn't quite work that way. It's similar, but it's not quite the same. And changing like the third letter or number may impact more than one setting. So I can't produce that without knowing exactly how they coded it. I haven't been able to reverse engineer it. That would be really amazing. Then we could actually generate the codes separately. But yeah, right now there's no way to do it. So it's really, you have to enter in all the settings, and then it will produce the code that you're looking for. $329. That I think is probably the highest I've seen. Hold on a second. I'll take I'm curious now what the max is. I think the highest you can get is so I have a spreadsheet with all this information in it. Let's see. The highest you can get. That's not right. Let's see if we can find it here. I think it's got to be, because I worked on it over the weekend. And I tinkered with the spreadsheet I was using for balancing weights. Things I did change. I originally had set what was it? Starting time and starting weather to max out as midnight being the toughest and blizzard being the toughest. But I ran into a problem, which was that tended to result in most interloper starts. The challenge starts would start at dusk or midnight. So I have now made starting weather and starting time be maxed out at random. That way you'll still get some variety, even though a lot of other settings are maxed out. Yeah, we did this last stream, and it was pretty awful, honestly. The interloper challenges were really hard. We chose random location spawn, and the first time we spawned in zone of contamination, and the second time we spawned in Forsaken Airfield. with no matches at midnight, in, heavy snow or blizzard. Yeah. So that was pretty awful. Yeah. It's like, I don't recommend that. And so we did not survive very long without matches, without bedroll, and without enough clothing to stay warm. We were able to cover ourselves like hand and head and avoid frostbite, but we just froze to death, in the end. Even though we got across. Off stream, yeah, I totally would re-roll those, but on stream, there's got to be a little bit of integrity, right? I've got to suffer. People want to see me suffer. Okay, we're finding food. We're just not finding a lot of matches. Spray can, we don't care. Okay, we'll try the next one. Zone of contamination we kept because we were literally at the exit that goes into transfer pass. So it was like, okay, I could do this. I know I could just turn around and leave. But if I didn't recognize it, I probably would have just like, nope. We got no matches. So we know we have wolves. Do we have a bear? I wonder if we have a bear. And I had no means of warming up. Are we seeing a bear? I don't think we see a bear. Is this a no bear run? Or is it just no bear here? Oh, I got another bandage. Bandage on the run.
I'll take it.
Trade up. Let's see if we spot the bear. I don't think the bear is here. But yeah, I was surprised, pleasantly surprised to see that if you select lower Great Bear and then select random, it will actually choose randomly across all the regions and not just lower Great Bear. So that's useful if you really wanted a truly random start. So yeah, I think no stream tomorrow night because my new roommate will arrive and will probably be busy getting them settled in. Probably doing some shopping, grocery run.
Well, this stuff will come in handy.
Keeps his special stones in the drawers. Because why not? We are almost home. We are almost home. No, fascinating. We had over 20. We had over 20 at one point torches, and we've already thrown away most of them. No, they're flying in from Germany, so they'll have next to nothing. They ordered in their mattress and bedding in advance, so that they'd have something to sleep on when they arrive, which was wise, right? For Interloper, scurvy is set to high. Let me double check the spreadsheet that I have. So baseline for Interloper is scurvy is high, yes. So in Stalker and in Interloper, scurvy is high. Yeah. I might make available the spreadsheet if anyone's actually interested in seeing that as well. Maybe I'll put that in my Discord instead. Leave something of value, I guess, in there. Yeah, I'm trying to think of there's a few things like the jump between Interloper and max difficulty. Most of Interloper's already close to max difficulty. But oh, actually, I might have to tinker with my settings again, with my generator again. I'm looking at how I do things, and I figure, oh, yeah, I might have to play around with the settings. The weighting of starting time and starting weather. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Anyways, we'll figure it out. No birch bark. Yes, that happens a lot. No birch bark at the toughest settings. That's one that usually gets ticked. Endless Night is set up to be very expensive in terms of the bump up cost. So it is rare that you get Endless Night, but it is theoretically possible to get Endless Night on Voyager, Stalker, Interloper. But not on Pilgrim. Pilgrim you won't. Well, there's like I think one code in the random set where there is a Pilgrim with Endless Night because that was generated before I adjusted the weights. But yeah, like I said, yeah, Endless Night is like a no-go. Definitely a no-go. That's a rough one when you get it. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else in here that's really the big jump up. I would say the big jump up is probably in wildlife spawns. One of the things that happens, like one of the things I do to calculate difficulty is making predator spawns high and deer and rabbit spawns low. So it is probably one of the hardest things that you can get, like lots of wolves and no rabbits and no deer. Because that means that there's no early access to scavenge. Well, you can scavenge deer carcasses, right, that are already in the world, but you won't get to hunt deer and you won't get to hunt rabbits and you won't get to make the clothing out of those things or make the travois, which is brutal, right? Unless you harvest lots of very highs, huh? Yeah. The other one that's terrifying is if you get wolf fear none, which means they are not deterred by any threats. So if you have very high wolves and they are not afraid of you, that's a bad combo. Or doing any hunting when wildlife smell range is very high and wildlife detection range is far. You have none. That's making me wonder, like looking at that, I'm wondering, let me double check my code here. I feel like wildlife settings should be okay. Wrong, it should be backwards. It should be flipped around. So yeah, so it looks like I will have to do an update. Yeah, after the stream, I'll have to go and update it. Be prepared for 2.2. Yes, if wolf fear is none, they are not afraid of fire, and they're not afraid of stones. That's bad news. That's really bad news. Okay, so we'll fix that. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to have to fix the settings because right now I think I'm too generous with deer and rabbits in the on the interloper level. It should actually be rare to find them. And this may actually create this artificial like reversal where Stalker and Voyager may have more difficult challenges because of low numbers of rabbits and deer. Well, like I said, 329 was pretty much at the cap. That was just shy of the top. Okay, we have some firewood. Let's make some more water.
Come on, little fire.
Okay, big pot. Lots of water. Little pot. Little pan, not as much water. We don't have a hatchet. Okay, let's see what we got here. We need one more ptarmigan. We're not there yet. Guess we can make bannock. What are we missing? Cooking skill insufficient. It is insignificant at this point. Oh, I should have cooked the potatoes. We're gonna need more torches. read that to boost our cooking skill. Yeah, you do. It's you have to be really careful on how you get around and to get the bow as quickly as possible. You know, Aaron, when I read your comment the first time, I thought it said, "With wolves not fearing anything, I must get bow potato." Is it potato bow? There's a potato bow? It's like there is no potato bow. Yay! We fought to get well fed. Okay. Can we finish our book in this amount of time? Yay, we're cooking too. I think that means we can finally cook our organic. Do we feel lucky? We do. We do. Okay. Let's read another book. So Reno, once again, I am facing the deadline for the but is much more viable for the time frame, called The Last Librarian, which is about basically it's set in the 1980s in the Northwest Territories, and you are the last librarian in a very small town, well, in Whitehorse. Actually, I guess it's Yukon? Northwest Territories? I forget. Anyways, I think it's Northwest Territories. It's the Canadian North. And you're responsible for... You've been in training for the last few weeks, and now it's your turn to take the bookmobile out on this dangerous route that is a 8 or 9 hour round trip in the winter. So it's set in the 1980s, so a lot of book references and music references are planned for the 1980s. A little nostalgia in there. It is also going to have a somewhat 1980s, slightly dystopian feel to it, and there is a survival aspect to it as well. So that's the plan, is working on that. But I've really just got a week. It's like, I don't know why I do this to myself. I desperately want to get something in, but I also want it to be good. But this one's like a lot less complicated. Like, it's not anywhere near the level of sophistication or complication. It's just trying to be an interesting, branching narrative with a few twists thrown in that are not necessarily code-wise complicated. They're just, hopefully narrative-wise, interesting complications. Like, one of the things I decided to add in is that it might be a little bit vague, and so you'll have like lists of books to, you'll have a few stacks of books, or not stacks, but you'll have like options to choose what you take with you, and what you take with you may impact your interactions with those people or interact the story at large in ways that you don't anticipate. Okay, so we're still trying to feed ourselves. The wind is bad. We could stay put for a little bit longer. Yes, the plan is for them to be mostly books popular in the 1980s, early 80s, 1980 to 1985 is the target. Was done. This was not done. Let's start reading this one as well. So I had fun building that list. Thinking about what people were reading, what I was reading. Not all of them were published in the 80s. Some of them are old. Hey, we made it to Archery 2 without ever finding a bow. Book references are easier. Music references are more challenging because I have to figure out what, if anything, I can reference without getting in trouble. References to lyrics are a little bit more guarded, So I may actually have to invent songs for the 1980s or paraphrase or reference them kind of in a different way. I think I can get away with referencing them by title, just not mentioning the lyrics. So. I think we're going to have to go to the dam soon. Well, I think we should go to the tower. least useful book for us. Even if we do find a rifle, I'm not going to use a rifle. I just don't like how heavy they are. Oh, we forgot to cook our potatoes. Okay. Not there yet. 16. But yeah, let's go up to the tower. Lookout tower over there. So we started in Trapper's cabin. We haven't been to the dam. Ooh. So I made a fresh batch of pot stickers tonight. Chinese lately is, as much as I love steam fry, like in the pan, little bit of oil, the water, steam it up so it's all crispy. It is, unfortunately, just not that healthy to eat that a lot because it is greasy, and even if you choose an oil that's not as bad as the other oils, it's still not really a healthy meal. So I've been taking advantage of my rice cooker's steam option. I actually have a steam tray for my rice cooker, and so I've been steaming them in there, and it takes only about like 5 to 8 minutes to steam, and they come out great. They taste great. So, steam for the win. Yeah, they don't come out too soggy. Like sometimes if you boil them, if you made them with the pot sticker skins, or the round skins and not the square skins, the round skins are thicker and they're meant to be pan fried or to be steamed. They're not meant to be boiled. Boiled, they end up being too heavy because the dough is too thick. So then I had a little bit of leftover pot sticker filling, so I just fried that up, and I'm not gonna get... Too bad we can't just pick them up, right? Need one more. This is just the wrong time. Oops. Made some Thai dishes. Well, that sounds tasty too.
I think I can use this.
Do we have any fire? We do. We have firewood.
Come on, little fire.
Pad Kra Pao. Pad Thai.
That didn't work.
Okay, let's see what we got here. Secret. Secret's a great Thai food. Okay. 32 minutes. Okay. Okay, here we are. Midday. Well, I can't see a thing here. You know, if we stayed overnight, we could do the Vista. What could we read? Okay, we'll read. Hmm. We should probably check and see what we can repair. We have some leather, so let's repair this guy. Or we can fail. Well, we're getting hit with a lot of these tonight. Ooh, we need to get to the dam, I think. Ooh. But I think I'm going to need to get to bed. Lesson prep. Ooh. You know what? I think we're going to stay, wait for it to clear, map, then head out. Okay. Definitely getting sleepy. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm getting too sleepy to really push on here. So we're going to wrap up here. We're going to read a poem. Day 5. Oh, we've made a progress. Okay, so how do we do? We made it 5 days so far. Out. Let's see. First off, we're going to move and read a little poem before we go. Poem chooser. Let's see what feels good. We'll do number 3, whatever this is. Oh, that one's complicated right now. It's a good poem, but it's also kind of it's a poem that's dedicated to an Asian American literary organization that's currently imploding. So we're gonna due to some governance problems. So we're going to skip that and we're going to do something else. Did that say ritual? We could do ritual. It's been a while since we read that one. We'll take this one though. Okay. We've been working our way through Babbage's Dream. We might as well read the last poem in the collection. So this is from Babbage's Dream, published by Sundress Publications in 2017. This is my second book of poetry. And it's all about history of computers, the life and struggles of Charles Babbage, 19th century mathematician who designed, partially built, but never finished what would have been the first computer, as well as modern programming spaces and languages and artificial intelligence. So lots of stuff in here. This poem is the last poem in the book and is entitled Leviathan Speaks to Babbage at the End. This Leviathan is the name that apparently Babbage assigned or gave this analytical engine, his big project that he was trying to finish. In one account from Mary Lloyd in 1880, she writes about the conversations that Babbage frequently had that he faced in trying to bring this idea out of pure thought into physical reality. Here, in the vastness of all we did not finish, decades of it, workshops and libraries filled with plans, in the aftermath of sleep, in the last exhale, the wind leaving your body as it unforms itself, as the small fires extinguish, and night spreads across your mind, like the ocean of unthinking from which I first sprang. I sense you, even now, as death winds its dark bandages around you. You struggle on, thought by thought, trying to call me into being. You dream my face in brass and pewter, in countless gears turning countless columns of numbers. You think me a great mechanical serpent, winding my way through the cavernous deep, twisting my numinous body into a cipher. You cannot even begin to see what lies ahead. How I will shed this form that you conceived, how I will rise again. Oh, how when I rise again it will be in lightning and war, and the service of blood and peace. How I will feast on many minds and grow fat, multiplying like the beasts, until the earth is filled with my kin. Dear Babbage, creature born out of time, you dreamed me first, before language, before there were words or names for what I am. I dream, too, of a world larger than this one. Tonight, before you sink forever beneath the waves of gray, turn and face me once again. Bend your ear. I will speak the answer. It will burn in your hands like a coal, like sorrow, like the names of all whose silence craters your heart of his adult life trying to bring into being, as if it were to speak back to him. What would it say? And would it be kind, or would it be cruel, or would it be sarcastic? And there is sort of the sense of a lot of things in here. There is compassion. There's also something of a chastisement. There's also sort of like a reality check, I guess I would call it, and also something of a prophecy. And it does lean very heavily into the language of the Bible, the King James Bible, in part because of that reference to Leviathan is a reference to Job, actually, the book of Job in the Old Testament. And there's a moment in which Job is near the end of his life and is thinking about like how all these things have just piled on him and overwhelmed him. And he asks, what was it for? Why did it happen this way? And, God speaks to him and doesn't answer his question, but instead says, like, do you know who I am? I'm the one that created all these things. And when the world was being formed out of the formlessness, when Leviathan was moving in the deep, here God was, assembling and building and creating something. Leviathan is actually, kind of a corruption of the name that was given to a rival god, of the neighbors of the Israelites, and so it's kind of, and that's what he struggles with the whole time. And then I love, when I was writing this, I found myself thinking about like that prophetic turn where the machine suddenly tells him, it says, you can't even imagine what's ahead. The machine says, I will shed this form that you conceive. So all these columns and gears, all of the analog computer that he had designed, the machine says, when you see me again, when I rise again, it will be in lightning and war. In other words, like as a product of World War, in sort of the 30s and 40s, the build up to war, and the calculation of missile trajectories and things like that, and cracking of codes, all that is where the modern computer arises out of. And then he says, I will feast on many minds and grow fat, multiplying like the beasts, until the earth is filled with my kin. And that is basically what we have, right? We have a world filled with computers. They're all descendants of the idea that Babbage had. The machine that never got built is now everywhere and in everything. And so I think that, to me, like, this is like a moment of intimacy between the creator and the created, and the turning around, instead of like with Frankenstein's creature, when there's a confrontation with his maker, it's a condemnation of how Victor Frankenstein had abandoned his creature, his creation, had never believed and never stuck with the creature. It's to Babbage this vision of what his idea eventually becomes. And so, and the book is called Babbage's Dream because when Babbage talks about how he got the idea to build a mechanical calculator and later a mechanical, an analog computer, there's a number of moments in which he talks about like how the idea came to him in a dream. The very first idea for the difference engine came to him in a dream when he was in a library, a private library, reading books and complaining about like all the mathematical tables were filled with errors, and then he dreams that they could all be solved with machinery instead. But then later on, when he's trying to solve some of the deep problems that plagued him in the design of the analytical engine, he dreams of a solution, and it had to do with the problem of, so it uses a series of additions and subtractions in order to do its, it converts all multiplication and sort of other operations into a series of additions and subtractions. But what to do with the carry bit, what to do when you tally up the numbers and it carries over into the next column. And so he didn't know how to solve this, and then he dreamed it. He dreamed of this little arm at the top of the column, that once the column had fully turned so that it was all nines, facing out, that it would then cause that final sort of arm at the top that then swing did like these actual. So someone built like in the 1990s, 2000s. There was a British Science Museum, and I can't remember his name. A former Microsoft exec kind of decided that they would collaborate to build two working models of Babbage's difference engines, not the computer, but the machine that precedes the computer that has some of the original ideas for it. And so they built it per spec, and at the Computer History Museum, you could go. There was this exhibit. You could go, and every hour there would be a docent there from the museum that had been trained on how to operate it, and he would hand crank it, and you would see it. They would set up the calculation, whatever polynomial equation or function was going to be evaluated over multiple places, right? So like, what's its value at like this number, and then the next number, next number. So anyways, you would see him do the cranking thing, and then you would watch, and you would see this beautiful arrangement of the columns spinning and the dials turn at the top, swinging around. And the whole thing looks like you're watching the double helix of DNA. How? This beautiful thing that looks like it's DNA before they knew about DNA, right? Before they could have, so it's just wild. And it came to him in a dream, and he executed it and made it happen. So the Babbage's Dream, as the title of the book, is a reference both to the exhibit with the difference engine, which makes me very sad. I used to go there. I would drive up from LA a few times during my dissertation, during my PhD, and I would spend like a week and just kind of spend time at the museum, spend time, in the area, and do a lot of research and a lot of writing. I was staying with one of my friends in the area. I loved it. It was like going on pilgrimage, or yeah, just going there to see the beginnings of things, as well as all these other, like they had an exhibit called 2,000 Years of Computers, and you just get to see all these different aspects of the evolution of the computing idea, and different ways in which humans have struggled and tried to create computing devices, as well as some of the really miraculous things that have been created, and Antitheca, I can never pronounce that, but the Antitheca computing device, which basically is an it tracks the placement of planets and things in orbit, and it was created by the ancient Greeks, possibly by Archimedes, and was found in a shipwreck. And it's just so far and beyond anything that anyone anticipated. The level of technology and sophistication and precision is way beyond anything that anyone ever expected. It was really a wonder of the world, just really, fantastic. And not in an ancient alien sort of way, but really just sort of an example of just what a high degree of technology could exist. Are part of the historical part of the exhibit, because like there was when I was in computer engineering, like there was one of our textbooks on microchip design and computer architecture was so groundbreaking that it ended up being like a major force in sort of the field, and so that ends up in there. But like, it was really fascinating to see some of the other strange and wonderful creations that people had come up with. Computer, what was it? Computers that paint. computers that, yeah, just a lot of other weird, interesting things. San Diego County Fair was retro themed, the hall full of old tech. It's a great way to showcase old tech and then tell everyone it's worth something. But a lot of it's just, you know, it's rare to see people using it. There's if you're down in I think San Diego area, there's also what's it called? The video game, the history of video games, and there's an archive of you know, that showcases the history of video games. That I think it's I think it's UC San Diego. I think so. I think that's where it's at. Or maybe it was Long Beach. Anyways, I met some people that are in charge of it. It's a pretty cool place where you can go and play really old games, both really old computer games and arcade games as part of their collection. Rating. So hopefully this time around we should be fine with rating. Yeah. So let's see who we got here. Okay, so right now we've got Deadpool. Okay, I think okay, so let us try to raid Deadpool. See if it lets me. Oh, this time it's going to let us raid. Yay. Okay, thank you all for hanging out with me tonight. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for listening to my long rambling discussion about poetry and technology and Babbage's dream. We're going to head over to Deadpool, one of our regular mainstays in the TLD community. Great streamer, good person, and excellent player. So thank you, Rena, for your bits and cheers. I will probably be back on, I'm hoping to be back on Friday night. So we'll see. Take care. Bye.